It was almost 4 in the morning when I was coming into my house. I took out my keys, opened the door, and before I could turn on the light, by the reflection of the moon slipping in through the window, I distinguished a silhouette. "Who's there?" I asked. "Come closer and let's talk." It was a trembling, sorrowful voice, inviting me to stay in my own home. It was the voice of an old man. "We have much to talk about, and this is the best hour to do it. I want to tell you some of my experiences, and since we're alone, we can do it without interruption." The old man said, "All right, but no, let the light rest. Dawn will be here soon." Minutes passed, and the old man and I were already more comfortable, immersed in a very engaging conversation. As I poured myself a drink, the old man spoke of his childhood, his youth, the love and respect that existed in his family, and the friends he always had, good ones, bad ones. As he said, "A friend is not the one who gives you his hand, but the one who takes yours." He had many friends, people of all kinds, from different worlds and with different experiences, but with all of them he shared. From all of them he learned, and some. The old man kept talking about many things at once, and at times he wasn't easy to understand. Suddenly he stopped and said, "Ah, and my first time, my first experience, my first contact with what, for many years, became my delirium, my passion, what, as life goes on, handles you as it pleases, makes of you what it wants, how it wants, and when it wants. What sometimes makes you think, and other times makes you wish you didn't think at all. What makes you act rationally at times, and other times like a wild animal. What causes you problems, but also, many, many times, saves you from them. Woman, my first experience," he continued. "It's not very clear in my memory at what age I met her. She was the sister of one of my many friends, much older than me. I wish I could describe her well, but what I can remember at this age is that she was fascinating. She always arrived at the perfect moment in the middle of a conversation or a study session, or at the best possible time. One day my friend went out to buy something while we were at his house, and I stayed talking with her. We only shared a few minutes, really. I saw her as someone far beyond my reach because of her age and, of course, my complete lack of experience. But she always came by, always said something. Days passed, and my visits to my friend's house became more frequent. After that, many afternoons went by in which I arrived to wait for my friend, and while he was with his father, I discovered and discovered. I learned and enjoyed, the old man said. Another drink, and the old man was still there, looking out the window and speaking. After that, something changed in me, he said. Now I felt more confident talking to girls, to the girls at school. Now I felt like a man. Now I spoke. I grew up, and in that process, there were many pleasant little adventures with naive girls and others not so naive. The years passed and life changed. Of that naive boy who stood frozen that day, speechless, only a fond memory remains. Now, already a grown man, came the greater experiences. Study, work, dedication, and honesty became the motto of this old man, who is now here speaking to you, who now wants to emphasize those 4 pillars of life, because, thanks to them, I have managed to maintain a good standing as a person. Thanks to the example instilled by my parents and by the people from whom I was fortunate enough to receive an education. I must mention my parents, 2 exemplary people with impeccable principles and qualities. Simple, hard-working people, dedicated to their family, who, even when adversity struck, knew how to rise above it and move forward together. People to whom I have no way of repaying the heart and life they poured into me. I remember very well that my father used to say, "Don't follow our example. Follow the example of your grandparents, who have walked a much longer road, who lived through harder times, who had to go and come, who raised their children and their home with love and effort, and who died together, nearly 100 years old. Follow that example, and you will succeed. Follow the example of dedication to family, to home, and to everything you choose to do in your life. Always cultivate honesty. Study every step you take. Work with tenacity and dedication, and you will achieve your goals. You will arrive, and you will become an example for your children and for the society in which you live." The conversation grew more profound, and the old man, with his trembling, sorrowful voice, continued as if wanting to settle accounts, as if giving his final statement, as if he felt the flame was fading. He kept speaking, sometimes talking, sometimes laughing softly. "Work," he said. "Work is one of the best things life has given me, because thanks to it, I have obtained what I truly wanted. I have gained the experience needed to fight and move forward. I have been able to give my loved ones security. I have always worked with love and dedication. Thanks to work, I have seen the world and climbed step by step until reaching the very good position I have today. I started as any good man starts. Before finishing my studies, I was already working at something. I remember very well. Many years ago, when other young men my age spent their weekends at social clubs, playing tennis or golf or something like that, I went house to house in my neighborhood, offering my services to wash cars. I spent my weekends doing that until I saved enough money to buy my first soccer ball. That was the best ball in the world. I would arrive proudly at every park to challenge the boys to play with my ball. Time passed, and I achieved better and better things. I reached goals and surpassed stages until I became a model businessman, until I almost felt the sky in my hands. Everything was done with enthusiasm, dedication, honesty, and effort. That's why today, I dare to tell you that every dream and goal you set in life is possible if you put into practice the 4 pillars with which I have tried to live this long existence, he said. I could list each of my achievements, but knowing you as well as I do, and knowing your patience, I'd rather you take that next drink with the taste of another topic, he exclaimed. For example, I could tell you how much I've enjoyed and how much I love nature. I could tell you how many hours of life I spent on the back of a good horse, admiring landscapes and enjoying that scent, that calm you can find in it, that immense color, and its voice, the one that always spoke to me and gave me advice. When I had some sorrow or something difficult to face, I would go into nature and speak to her as a poet speaks when his muse arrives. Oh, beautiful and fragile nature! "How I miss you," he said. And saying these words with that melancholic tone, the old man let himself fall back into his chair, as if trying to catch his breath. The silence, for a few moments, transported me into his life and his memories. And I thought, from this old man, I will learn. Dawn was breaking. I sat in my chair, waiting for the old man to resume the conversation. But when I came back to myself, I saw him pale, his gaze lost on the horizon, as if remembering every moment of his life, as if savoring every instant of his existence and his being. "Do you want to keep telling me more?" I asked. There was no answer. For a few minutes I waited, staring at him, hoping he would continue his story. But suddenly, in the distance, the morning birds began their concert. I looked out the window, and the sun rose boldly. The night had been left behind. I turned my gaze toward his chair, but he was no longer there. I searched for him, called for him, but alone and in silence, I awoke. Ah, dear old man, how I waited for you. But I assure you, just like last night, tonight I will dream again.